Here's 13 scary kitchen design mistakes you definitely want to avoid in your next kitchen renovation so things will go a whole lot smoother. Interrupting the flow of counter space with tall appliances or tall pantries is definitely a mistake. Avoid interrupting counter space when you can. Definitely put a fridge or something that's heavier visually on an end and don't stick it right in the middle. Visually heavy items should be placed on ends if they can be. Don't put them in the center of a run of countertop. They don't look as good and they just interrupt the flow and the usability of that workspace. Not enough drawers. Yes, drawer cabinets cost more money because there's more hardware. However, it's money well spent to make your kitchen that much more accessible. One of the biggest mistakes you can make in designing your kitchen is at the end of the day, you have a kitchen that you have to reach in, get on your hands and knees, and there's just shelves underneath there. Get as many functioning drawers as you can for your new kitchen. Unless the cabinet is specific use for some kind of item like a pull-out garbage can or spices or pull-out tray divider or an appliance lift or something like that, just put drawers in. You'd be much happier that you did. It's money well spent. Neglecting under the sink. This is a big one. You can go to your sink cabinet probably right now, open it up, and it's just a mess. Put some pull-outs underneath there. Plan the plumbing so it's nice and neat so you can fit things under there that can pull out, make it more accessible. Make sure that that cabinet has some kind of mat underneath to protect the base of that cabinet, because the sink cabinet is the one cabinet that is going to get destroyed by water because there's water there, there's plumbing, and it's just going to happen. So make sure, and plus there's all kinds of chemicals and poisons and God knows what else underneath there. So make sure that you have a mat under there, that's important, but provide some pull-out, some storage so that under your sink cabinet is not just completely wasted. Hinging doors improperly. For instance, if you have a corner cabinet that opens to the right and you have an appliance right there next to that cabinet, chances are that that door is going to hit the appliance because the appliance sticks out and you won't have full access or use of that door. Think through the way doors are hinged so that you don't have interruptions when you're opening cabinets against other cabinets or appliances and things aren't getting in the way. When possible, make sure that single door cabinets open in a way that makes the most sense. You don't want to be opening doors around your head so that you can reach into it. This also has to do with fridge doors. If you have a single fridge door, that thing can be reversed, and it might need to be if you're reusing your fridge but you're relocating it and it used to open left but now it would probably open right and be a little more accessible. Just take the time to reverse the door. And once doors are drilled for handles, it's too late. Now you've just ruined the door, so you want to make sure that you really go through this and make sure that all the doors are hinged the exact way that you want them. Appliances and corners. Putting two appliances kitty corner to one another. For instance, if you have a dishwasher, corner cabinet, and a range, doesn't matter which way you hinge the door, it's going to be a problem because both of those appliances stick out and are going to interrupt the door. And you can't open both appliance doors at the same time because they're going to interrupt each other. And I don't know about you, but in my kitchen, there's two of us working in there, and I'm in the dishwasher, my wife's in the oven. Not literally, but she has the oven door open. We want to make sure that those things aren't colliding. So think through where the appliances are placed and don't tuck them into two corners like that side by side. It'll be a big problem down the road. Now, if you have a small kitchen and you can't place those appliances in different locations, you're just going to have to live with that, but know up front that you're going to probably have an issue opening those doors, and just plan for that when you're using your kitchen. One of my biggest pet peeves and a big mistake is not to put pullouts in your pantry or base cabinets. Now, I already mentioned that you should have drawers everywhere, but in a big pantry, you probably don't have drawers, so you want to make sure you put pullouts. You will only regret it later if you just have shelving on base cabinets. Put pullouts in there if you don't have drawers, but especially in a big pantry, make it accessible, add pullouts. I'd love for us to connect more. Check out the details in the description where you can join my newsletter. Neglecting the fact that wall cabinets are hard to reach is definitely a mistake that can be avoided by just adding some simple pull-down units. Yes, they're expensive, however, in certain areas they can come in very handy. Reaching like this for anything is like, forget about it, so don't be doing that. Have something that pulls down, it's much easier. And you don't necessarily need to go and buy pull-down units. You can just adjust your shelving height to make them a little more usable. Plates can go on the bottom shelf, then you have a smaller height to the next shelf, where you can put taller items, and then you can have a higher space to the third shelf, which is usually unreachable. Just a simple trick that can make those cabinets more functional without having to go buy a really expensive pull-down wall unit. This is an easy one to fix. I recommend you go look at your cabinets and see if you can adjust your shelves to make them a little more usable. Neglecting the cleanability factor of your kitchen can be a big mistake. This might not matter to you, but for those of you who like to clean your cabinets, this might be something worth investigating. How easy are your cabinets to clean? Shaker doors are very trendy, but it's a 5-piece door, meaning that it has this center panel, which has these grooves, and these grooves get dirty, and they're difficult to clean. If you want easy to clean cabinets, make sure that your doors are one piece. They don't have to be slab. You can get many types of door profiles that are one piece and easier to clean. It's a mistake you want to avoid if you are one that likes to clean your kitchen. Wasting needless space is a mistake you want to avoid in your new kitchen renovation. What is the most usable space? Well, it is the space in a kitchen that is the easiest to access and the most handy to get to. Does that make sense? If you waste these areas, it can be a real problem. One of the reasons I block off corners is for this very reason. I get a lot of flack about that, but hear me out. Even though I'm wasting space by blocking off a corner, it's not the most usable space. So instead of having a corner base, which is hard to access, or that has some rinky-dink lazy Susan in it, I'll block that corner off and take the space on either side of that, make it wider and more accessible and more usable. Now on the flip side, blocking off a corner could be a mistake because that could be very usable space for you, but take your time to think through this to see whether or not you can utilize the space to your advantage to make it more accessible, more functional. And though I'm a champion for function, there's nothing wrong with just having cabinets that you really only go into once a year or maybe never, but stuff is stored in there, like above your fridge. It's not the most usable space, but you need a place for that great big punch bowl that you only use one time or two times a year. And so it's got to go somewhere, and it's better to be up there than in a closet. So I'm all for just having those areas as well. I have them in my own kitchen and they can't be avoided. You just want to make the most usable space as functional as possible. Buying quartz countertop is a big mistake. Do your homework, really research the type of countertop that you want, and don't just buy something because you think you're supposed to buy it. It might be just blowing your budget unnecessarily. Make sure you do some investigation on the type of countertop that's best for your needs and best for your budget. Really go and investigate that. It's a mistake not to. You have too many small appliances, and so that's a mistake because they're all over your countertop, cluttering up everything. It's fine. If they're on there and they're easy to access and you don't care, no big deal. I have small appliances on my kitchen counters and I don't want to be going digging for them all the time. However, not every small appliance needs to be on your countertop if you're not using them every day. Think through small appliance placement and where they're going to be stored. It's a mistake just to get into your new kitchen and then you just bring in all your small appliances and they're just all over the countertop and you're like, this could have been figured out earlier. Now, if you're building a new home, this one really applies to you. Make sure you design your kitchen first before you get the plans for your home. This is the kitchen I want, and I'm going to place this kitchen in my new home, and then design your home around that kitchen. The kitchen is the most used room in your house, most likely, and you don't want to be stuck with having to place and fit a kitchen into a space that you're provided. Once you have your house plans, usually it's a really big hassle to go back and have those things changed, and you could be ending up with a kitchen that's not as optimal, or at least not as optimal for you. At the risk of offending many of you, I will put this one on the list, and it's installing an over-the-range microwave. I just think that's a mistake. I know some of you love them, that's fine, and if they work for you, they work for you, and that's great. Because it's also a big mistake to just listen to somebody on the internet and not get the kitchen that you absolutely want. So make sure you do your homework with the OTR, whether or not it's the thing that you actually really want and works for you, or it's just like, well, it seems to be what the designer put in the design. Kick back a little bit if you feel you need to. Sinks are important in kitchens. Check out this playlist, it'll help you choose the right sink.